Guess what? One country figured out how to turn giant robots, magical teenagers, screaming power-ups, and emotional damage into a global empire. It's not Hollywood, it's not Disney, it's anime. From hand-drawn frames to billion-dollar franchises, anime didn't just become popular, it spread into global culture. And the wildest part? Early Japanese animation had shaky beginnings, and a lot of what we call anime style came from creators working under brutal time and money limits. This is Guess What?, where everyday entertainment has a way more interesting backstory than you'd expect. Anime didn't appear out of nowhere. Japan has a long tradition of visual storytelling, including illustrated hand scrolls known as emakimono or emaki, which go back as far as Japan's early historical periods, with famous surviving examples from the late 11th and early 12th centuries. Then much later, during the Edo period, you get ukiyo-e woodblock prints, known for bold outlines and graphic design choices. That doesn't mean anime came from ukiyo-e in a straight line, but Japan already had a deep visual culture built around strong line work and stylized expression. By the early 1900s, Japanese creators were experimenting with animation. There's even a famous early clip called Katsudo Shashin that might date to around 1907. By 1917, Japan had identifiable animation pioneers releasing short films. Names like Oten Shimokawa, Seitaro Kitayama, and Junichi Kouchi show up repeatedly in early anime history. Then Japan goes through war, destruction, and post-war rebuilding, and the entertainment industry, including animation, has to reinvent itself under new realities. And that's where the modern form of anime starts to take shape. If anime has a founding father, it's Osamu Tezuka. He's widely known as a central figure in shaping modern manga and early TV anime. Tezuka actually earned a medical degree. He trained in medicine, then chose to devote himself to manga and animation. In the early 1960s, his studio, Mushi Production, launched Astro Boy, which premiered on Japanese TV on January 1, 1963. Tezuka's official site also credits Astro Boy as a landmark work in Japanese TV animation history. Now here's where we clean up a common myth. Tezuka invented limited animation. Reality. Tezuka and Mushi Production helped standardize and popularize cost-saving TV animation methods, like fewer drawings per second, reuse, and efficiency tricks, because weekly TV schedules demanded it. These techniques existed in various forms already, but Tezuka's pipeline made them central to Japan's TV anime production model. And that constraint style became part of what people now recognize as anime. Big emotional close-ups, dramatic pauses, and strategic animation where it counts. By the 1970s and 80s, anime starts doing something Western animation rarely did at the time. It treats long-running animated stories like serious drama. Mobile Suit Gundam, which debuted in 1979, is widely credited with defining the real robot approach. Mecha in militaristic settings with more grounded war storytelling than Monster of the Week robot fun. And then you get projects that crack open what animation can be. Akira, released in Japan on July 16, 1988. It's frequently cited as one of the works that helped build international interest in adult-oriented anime through theatrical and home video circulation. Not the only one, but one of the most famous. Anime wasn't just for kids anymore. It was for anyone willing to ride an emotional roller coaster with laser beams. Here's the part nobody expects. Anime didn't spread globally because every show was funded like Hollywood. A lot of anime production runs through something called the production committee. Basically, multiple companies investing together so the risk is shared. That often includes publishers, music labels, merch partners, and distributors. So the anime isn't always the final product. It's sometimes the ignition point for manga sales, music, games, and merchandise. One reason anime exploded globally? There's something for everyone. Shonen action. Shoujo romance. seinen adult themes. Slice of life. Isekai. Anime is an ecosystem, not one genre. And yes, there are anime about cooking, sports, music, and everyday life, which is why you can meet two anime fans and realize they're basically watching two different planets. If anime had a worldwide breakout period, it's hard to ignore the late 1990s and early 2000s, when it became normal for kids outside Japan to watch Japanese animation on TV. Toonami launched on Cartoon Network in 1997, and it's widely credited with introducing a generation of Western viewers to action animation and anime programming. Sailor Moon had an English-language North American release beginning in 1995, and later found major visibility through reruns on Toonami starting in 1998. Pokémon reached the US in 1998 as a franchise phenomenon, and its anime ran as a kids' WB Saturday morning show starting in 1999. The series' distribution became massive internationally, and anime didn't talk down to kids the way some Western animation did. Long arcs, real consequences, characters changing over time. That trust built lifelong fans, the kind who still argue power levels at 3 a.m. If anime conquered screens, anime conventions are where it conquered real life. Japan has hosted fan-driven conventions for decades, most famously Comic Market, or Comiket, which began in 1975 as a small gathering for manga fans and grew into one of the largest fan conventions in the world. But here's what matters. Comiket wasn't built by studios, it was built by fans. People selling self-published comics, art, music, and ideas, often based on existing anime and manga. That culture of fan participation became a blueprint. Outside Japan, anime conventions followed a similar path. Events like Anime Expo in the United States began in the early 1990s and steadily grew as anime became more accessible through TV, VHS, DVD, and later, streaming. What made these conventions different from traditional pop culture events was how personal they were. Cosplay wasn't just dressing up, it was performance. Panels weren't just promotion, they were community discussions. Artist alleys turned fans into creators. Researchers and cultural historians consistently point out that anime fandom developed strong participatory culture where fans don't just consume stories, they extend them. By the 2000s, anime conventions weren't niche gatherings anymore. They became yearly pilgrimage sites for fans across generations. Anime didn't just build audiences, it built communities, and conventions made them visible. Then there's Studio Ghibli, anime's emotional artillery. Ghibli's films are widely discussed for themes like environmental concern and the human cost of conflict, and critics often point out how they avoid simple good versus evil binaries. So yes, soft visuals, hard emotional impact. Hollywood often tells you how to feel. Anime often leaves space for silence, ambiguity, and discomfort. That doesn't make it better universally, but it's a real stylistic difference people notice, especially in long-form serialized storytelling. Streaming changed everything. Netflix has publicly said that over 50% of its global members watch anime, and that its anime viewership has grown dramatically over recent years. Crunchyroll has also announced major subscriber milestones, including passing 15 million paying subscribers, announced August 2024. So the modern anime boom isn't just vibes, it's measurable. Anime went from niche fandom to mainstream global category. At its core, anime works because it takes emotions seriously. It doesn't promise strength means invincible. It doesn't promise growth is painless. Anime isn't just escape, it's transformation, told through a visual language that's now recognized worldwide. So from traditional Japanese visual storytelling to early TV breakthroughs and streaming domination, anime didn't just entertain the world, it reshaped global pop culture. It proved animation isn't a genre, it's a language. That's today's episode of Guess What? If you enjoyed walking carefully through history with me, hit subscribe, because next time, who knows what we'll uncover. Until then, stay curious, and don't skip the anime intro. It's probably important.